Hello out there, and welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. I guess I would say welcome to the COVID-19 coronavirus locked in but having fun version of the No Shit Cast. Thanks for joining us into our journey into the Internet College of Infinite Knowledge. My co-host, as usual, none other than the Gray Wizard of Historical Knowledge. Mr. Eric D. Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
I'm doing well.
Holy shit, right? So I got to be honest about last week. I should come clean, shouldn't I?
Yeah, there may be somebody that wonders. I did.
So Overwatch came out with the Archives event, and there's it's pathetic, I know. And there was a skin that I wanted, and it's only available during the Archives event. So when that went live, became my obsession, and I played. It took me like 2 days to get it.
When you said pants, I thought necro pants.
Necro pants, yeah, like we had on the show that time, yeah.
I'm like, wait, what are you after? What's the quest?
No, not necro pants.
I want those pants, man.
Death pants. So anyway, shout out to the Overwatch crew. They all started listening to the show here recently. So their online names are Sin and Roth and Dr. House and shit like that.
Oh, wow.
So I have no clue who these fucking people really are. They're a lot of fun to play the game with, and sort of the regulars that I participate in this with. So yeah,
in the reality virtual, yeah.
I love it, man. It's one of my favorite games of all time, easily. It's I'm really kind of hooked on it. You know, I know Devlin's and my kids and stuff are sort of over it, but I'm still addicted to it. You know. So that's kind of what's going on. That's why last week there wasn't a show, and there was other reasons. We just sort of took the night off, and that's when all of this COVID-19 thing and coronavirus thing was also fucking going crazy.
Yeah.
It was all sort of about that time when we normally record during the week. So now we kind of know what this is all going to look like now, yeah? The pandemic, man. The thing, what? The thing that everybody's talking about, right?
Yeah,
you know, I mean, you can't go anywhere. It's and I've seen the gambit of opinions, completely unsolicited opinions.
Sure, on Facebook, yeah.
No, just and people I've had to have interactions with, from the trash guys to the contractors and different stuff. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I haven't had a lot of interaction with people, so
no.
Well, I mean, I didn't see you last week, and
yeah,
they locked our doors at the beginning of this week, so nobody can come in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess with people on the phone, but they don't talk about it too much on the phone.
I had a trip that I was supposed to be on that ended up getting canceled. I'm really glad it got canceled now, because
sure, right, yeah.
When I watched what was happening at the airports at that time, when I would have been flying through those airports, I was like, woo, man, I'm glad they made the call to shut us down.
Yeah, my coworker
straightens out a little bit.
Said he felt like crap today, and then went home and has a temperature of 100.3.
Yeah.
But,
well, yeah, there's a greater spacing between us now. I don't know if you've noticed anything different there, Mr. Smith, but yeah, we're trying to observe the
social distancing.
The social distancing, no hugging, no fist bumping, no nothing, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, live long and prosper, right?
Do that if you want.
So, again, the Archives event's active, so that's what I was doing. And I've been playing the Archives event on Overwatch. So
is that what that is?
Yeah, they do like these events where you can get like special rewards when that event is active.
Like pants?
Like skins that change the way your character looks. It doesn't do anything to improve how well you play or
cool.
not. But it looks cool, yeah. Right. Yeah, it's like a stat. It's almost like I guess you'd call it like a status thing.
Yeah, my kid does that in Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
Like, he gets different.
They're very similar.
Colors and skins of things and stuff, and like different colored hats and different types and stuff. And some of them are worth quite a bit of money, I guess.
Like you can sell them in Team Fortress 2?
You can sell them on the Steam platform.
That's right. We found out that there's like a whole black market money laundering thing going on because of that.
Yeah.
That the feds are starting to clamp down on. I can't fucking talk tonight, man. I don't know what's going on.
You skip one show, man, and then
it just all falls apart.
Well, yeah, learning curve again.
Oh,
like, how
man,
did we
I'm
do
out
this?
of shape. Yeah.
I will be too.
Imagine how much my jujitsu sucks right now.
Not as bad as mine would.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you're still ahead of the curve.
There is that. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's why you want to take me with you when you go back.
So look, I've sort of always been a remote type of employee in the sense that I do a lot of the work that I do doesn't require me to be in an office professionally. So I've always sort of had this where I've worked from home kind of thing. But like, what about like with you guys, and how has it impacted you so far? This whole pandemic thing,
office, or as me personally?
Yeah, just you personally.
Oh, me personally,
or professionally too. Yeah. What are you finding interesting about it? I guess let me narrow it for you.
I mean, it's all really interesting, but I mean, what we've done is, I think at the beginning of this week, we stopped letting people into the office. And that's really about the only changes I think that we've made. They, as a larger company, they stopped all company trips,
right, for
any reason, that sort of thing, and have encouraged people to work from home if they can.
If they can, yeah,
yeah. But I've got a roommate, and I don't know where he goes or what he does, so I don't even know what he's bringing home. So at my own house, I'm actually a bit more cautious,
yeah,
because I don't know what he's been into or touched. And I assume it's everything, right?
You have
but
to,
at
yeah.
work, we're all three diligently like Cloroxing and Lysoling, and like I get in there, and the manager that's there, she's like got everything wiped down and stuff. And
what do you think of like shit like though no, I mean anything else about the original question?
No, I mean, like for me, there hasn't been a lot of changes for me personally. I live above a bar, and that's shut down.
Yeah, you do, dude.
Yeah,
so it's weirdly quiet.
Yeah, it's
now,
been like super quiet, and we don't have no neighbors right now. Yeah, so it's literally just us in that building.
Yeah,
so it's been really quiet and weird, but I still have been going into work. And the lines have been a lot better in places, like to go get coffee.
No shit.
Yeah, it's like you just shoot right up to the window, get your coffee,
and you're through.
It's not a problem. It used to be like you waited 10 minutes in line. Sort
of these weird hidden silver linings.
Absolutely.
In this stuff in a way, huh?
Yeah,
it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, just
So that for me, it's not much of a departure. Except that there are jobs I need to get to that I can't get to right now.
Right? Yeah.
But other than that, it's very much we're not off. Like I got stuff to develop and things like that I'm still working on. So once they do let us start moving around again, it's not I could fly right now, but there's too many rumors now about they've already done like a worldwide no flights in or out of the country kind of thing. So I'm too worried about that. I go somewhere and then they go no flights in the country, and it's like shit, And then I either got to try to like rent a car and drive all the way home, or I end up stuck there. You know, depending on how big of a lockdown it is. So.
Yeah, it's
tenuous right now.
More than it has me. Like it affects you in that way, which it makes your economy a little bit shifty.
Yeah.
And then there's people like my roommate who works at a bar, and a restaurant bar, and they shut that down. And then he was able to go back to work. Like I'm not sure in what capacity, because he's a bartender.
Right.
So he's doing something else, but they've kind of got him working. And I know some people that own their own business, and the issues with them is that if other people lose their economy, then they can't take the kids to the daycare center, or will be staying home and won't need it.
Right, yeah.
So it's affecting a lot of people I know in their economy.
Yeah, it's like a trickle-down sort of effect on people's livelihoods, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of people living paycheck to paycheck. And but at the same time, there's a lot going on in the government too about compensating for those things and
Right.
stuff. So I don't know how it's all going to shake out. But generally, when things shake out, the people at the very bottom sometimes get called a little bit.
Get shook the worst.
Well, yeah. And,
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or fall out the edge or whatever.
Yeah.
They get like trampled on a little bit.
Smushed.
Yeah.
Right. They become almost an innocent, or what do you call it, a collateral damage kind of situation.
Not intentionally or anything, but just
seems to be how it works out
a lot of
right?
times. Yeah. So hopefully that won't happen to anybody.
Look, there's a perspective thing going on here where I'm really, really cognizant of how blessed a life I have.
Sure. Yeah.
When I see the sheer panic and stuff that's going through, my peers' lives and stuff, depending on the fields that they're in. Some people, okay, I know I've been doing this same job for 20 years. I no longer do that. So now I've got to find something else to do. So a lot of people are scrambling to find work. And then I've got other friends that because of this necessarily, their workloads have gone up exponentially.
Kroger's is hiring because they're looking
all
for
the
people
groceries.
to help stock.
Walmart's hiring. So a lot of these folks are now like, it's not that there isn't work per se.
Yeah.
And for some folks, it's going to be a huge pay cut too, on top of everything else. And then the worry of things like, well, what if we get sick, and all this kind of stuff. It's there's a lot going on, and I see a lot of sort of confusion too about what the point of all of this really is with folks. Although from a week ago to now, it seems to be becoming much more crystal clear.
Yeah, they've been explaining
more
it pretty.
People. Yeah,
they. It's weird, man. It's like when I'm running D&D games, right?
Yeah.
And I think to myself when I'm planning the stuff, I'm like, oh, these people are going to see this clue, right? Or they're going to get this thing that I've done. They're going to see it. They're going to get it, right?
Right.
And actually, you really got to spell it out a lot of times because it's hard for something conceptual in your mind to translate into specifics with people.
Nuance is tough for folks sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're going through. I think, that they just need it to explain it a little more step by step and the reasoning behind it before a few more people would be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. I think the guy I heard talk about it on, I think he was on NPR when I was on my way into work, and he explained it really well. Hey,
Devlin, do me a favor. Move his camera stand so that my chair is not in his frame, please. So it needs to come towards me more. I hate to do this, but it drove me nuts in the last podcast. Now turn it towards him so that I'm not in his frame. See what I'm saying? That's how it should be. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my fault because
yeah. So now make sure it's not in that frame.
It's not.
Good.
Oh,
so.
But it's a little further back. Should I pull it closer?
No. No.
Okay.
Yeah, you can move it towards you, straight towards you.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah. You scare me, man. Just don't rotate it. Just
okay.
Straight back. How anal retentive am I? Huh? I just happened to look over while you were talking, and I was like, "Now you've rotated it, so now you see my chair's in the frame. So now rotate it clockwise a little bit. There you go. Hey,
I mean, like, Devlin, could you do this again? And I swear to God, I won't touch it.
I'm not even going to edit this out this time.
Yeah, let the masses decide if you are crazy.
Oh, I'm absolutely crazy.
No, you're good. I was just being silly.
Facetious. We liked that word last podcast.
Oh.
We said the word facetious in the last podcast.
Quite a few number of times.
Like 9 times.
Wow.
Man.
Just batting it back and forth.
It was like, no, you're facetious. No, you're facetious.
Yeah, you're both very facetious.
It was weird. I don't know. I was like, what the fuck?
No, it did come to mind. I was searching for something else. I was like, yeah, I was just being.
So you picked up on it.
Silly.
Yeah.
Silly.
Words like contrary kind of fit sometimes with facetious or argumentative or combative or
shithead, dumbass,
or a dick,
yeah, dick,
or an asshole, or,
right?
Because a lot of things you can fill
I'm
in
just
there.
Being an asshole, man.
All right, so what about the toilet paper crisis? What do you think? Give me your 100,000 foot on this. Is this not the craziest? no pun intended, shit you've ever heard of in your life.
Yeah, man. Really early on, before I was seeing memes and stuff, I was telling my coworkers it would be a bold move to toilet paper someone's house right now.
Oh my God! I mean, you'd really mean it.
Yeah.
Now, if you get your house toilet papered right now, someone
Hates you.
was this close
to killing you.
getting you out of the bushes with a bat or something.
Right?
You know, I mean, like you're in deep shit.
Aside from that, man, I don't know. There's lots of alternatives, but I don't know. I don't know why people fixated on toilet paper for.
When you go into the grocery store, right? It's fresh meats, so not frozen stuff. It's toilet paper and cleaning supplies. It's like, you know what I mean? There's like certain aisles, and the bread aisle, wiped out.
Yeah.
Okay? Everything else in the store is stocked.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a weird.
Yeah.
It's like a weird shortage.
A bunch of Hawaiian pizzas left over, but
right. I mean, you would think that if people were really like, it's a weird way to be concerned about your longevity or your survivability. Okay, that it's just toilet paper, cleaning supplies, bread, and all the non-frozen fresh meats. But you want to go buy a box of, like, I don't know, frozen hamburgers or you can go, that's there.
Yeah.
You're good. Right?
Yeah.
You want to go get some wingdings or some frozen pizzas or name brand stuff. That's all there.
Well, before all this went down,
It's fucking weird. Like, you want some ice cream? Oh,
yeah.
I got you ice cream covered, man. It's like, what? You can't eat any of the except for the meats and the breads, right? But and the bread one weirds me out because it's like, if you buy all the bread, unless you freeze it,
yeah, it'll go bad.
it's going to go bad in
a
like
lot
a
of people
week
do
or
freeze
two.
it, but it does take up a lot of space in your freezer.
And it doesn't thaw out the
No, I agree.
same. You remember? I don't know if you remember that from being a kid.
Or an adult even. Yeah, just
Ugh. Yeah.
I did not buy a bunch of bread, and we still have bread. We just
Yeah.
haven't used it yet, right? Like, it's just in the fridge, like, so. And when we're done, it's no big deal, right? Because we got crackers, cheese, and that meat that we were going to put on that bread.
Yeah.
Can go fine with that stuff.
Now, what are you seeing? Any kind of real interesting, sort of juicy conspiracy theories? You must be. I have.
Yeah, people's saying. I just seen today where there was some article or something where it said scientists definitely proved that virus was not engineered or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. I almost put that in the lineup for tonight on like Futurism or something like. No, I'm sorry, it was Forbes. I saw. That's why I almost grabbed it. I was like, holy shit! But then I was like, I don't want to do a depressing show. We're going to talk about it the way we do, but I'm not going to read any articles about it.
Recently, I've been seeing that it infects type A blood more than other types.
Oh, great. That's me.
That's me, you, friend of mine.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's, a lot of people.
Yeah, so we're going to keep doing this as long as we can.
Right, yeah.
Observing social distancing and all of those things anyway.
Well, I mean, it's likely that we would survive it if we had it. That's not the issue. Is not necessarily survivability. It's overloading the
it isn't if we're going to get it, it's when.
Right, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We're not so old that we're in the high risk category for it either.
No,
and we're both in relatively good shape.
And the worst part about it is until there's a vaccine and the entire populace of the world could be vaccinated against it, like
It's gonna come back.
polio. Yeah, it'll come back. Yeah, and they'll have to enact these same measures in on again, off again months.
I think I put this up on the No Shitcast Facebook page.
Maybe.
Too, that since these glaciers that are melting all over the fucking world, they found I don't remember what it was like 29 or 19 new human viruses that have never been cataloged before. So that stuff that was frozen or suspended,
it's coming out.
So it's not really a matter of when we're going to see or if we're ever going to see a global pandemic like this. It's just a matter of when.
Yep.
And I find it ironic, and I'm going to get a little fucking shitty here, that there's an article that we keep burying because we just don't really feel like talking about it. So I'm just going to mention it, and then we'll kill it completely after this, okay?
Yes.
That they've spent like, I don't know, $400 billion. The people that are in charge of allocating our taxes to the things that protect us, right?
Yeah.
Politicians and lawmakers and stuff, to this fucking fighter jet that can't shoot. It's like $480 billion on this F-35 fighter jet that can't shoot. And a fucking flu bug just came along and took the fucking country out by the knees. Like, this has never happened before. And I'm just sitting here going, maybe we're not spending money on the things that are actually dangerous to us anymore. Like, is it an antiquated thing? Like, I understand that there are bad people and bad things in the world, right? But this shit's affecting all of us equally.
Yeah.
So everybody that's going to have to decide to find a way to allocate their resources to fight this. It isn't going to be just us.
What you're really talking about, too,
West.
is coming to the realization of living in a global society.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, where you...
Yeah, things like borders. Viruses don't fucking care about borders,
Well,
walls.
and we make it easy for them to get around, so...
For sure, yeah.
With the transportation of goods and people. So that global society, there's a lot of people talking about where this started and who's to blame for letting it start there. But...
I think that was if I remember right, I can't remember The Economist. Okay, but you might have heard of this with your history stuff. But I think the whole point of building a world society that had interconnected economies was to make it so that number one, nobody would want to attack anybody because it would bust everybody else's economy. Okay, and it would also mean that we couldn't really. Like you said, now every problem seems to be almost global.
Yeah.
Which is one of the, conspiracy theories that I've been hearing a lot about too, is that the whole point of this is to throw the entire world into a panic so that the world then gets taken over by an oppressive one world government.
Okay. So I like the idea of a one world government. I don't know why it's oppressive or why it has to be oppressive.
Well, anything that
more than any government.
Anytime a government gets bigger, it's just automatically assumed that it's going to be more oppressive.
Well, how do you govern an entire world if you don't get a little bigger?
Well, you know what, man? I mean, we could go on forever with the political science view of all of that, right? And why isn't that even a consideration, at this point when things do affect us sort of globally now instead of but okay, so putting all of that aside.
That's one of the prime things for the Prime Directive. In Star Trek, that one of the criteria, rather, for first contact, is that there has to be a world government, because if aliens landed and they picked the wrong nation, that could start a war, right? If they landed here, that could make the.
So that planet's already got to kind of have all of its shit together,
at least to be represented as one planet, one whole planet. That's in that world and stuff. But I mean, just think about the point of what that's making, right? Is if you think about it, that's true. I mean, if you were going to approach a planet and you were an alien species and you were going to land, if they were divided up into nations that warred with each other almost constantly, you would have to see your presence in one of those nations to be a threat to the other nations. Because they would see it that way. They'd be, oh, my God, they're siding with the aliens, the Russians are. We got to attack them now or whatever. I mean, it's one of the possibilities. I'm not saying that would happen that way, but that's one of the things that people worry about.
It's been thought about anyway. Yeah. Like it's theorized about nonetheless.
It keeps me awake every night.
So I did see one. There was one that kind of was texted to me and in sort of a panic and on, in 48 hours, this thing's going to happen and all of this kind of stuff.
Was it martial law?
It was like a military lockdown and all of this kind of stuff, and mandatory lockdown in place kind of thing. And once so at first scratch, it was like, well, wait a minute, it's the National Guard, and no one's been given deployment orders per se yet. Now, I'm not saying that it could change at a moment's notice. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. But, scuttlebutt in the military is that's what they call the rumor mill in the Navy. They call it scuttlebutt, right? So scuttlebutt in the military is a very, very common thing. So anytime something big happens or things change, the fucking rumor mill lights up, man. And people in the military, this is why I always have so many problems with most conspiracy theories.
Right.
Because I don't mean to be, I'm throwing myself under the bus here in a manner of speaking, okay? Because I'm part of this culture. I was part of this culture. But people in the military cannot keep a secret for shit. They can't.
And we talked about that when we talked about the UFO.
The UFO.
Yeah.
Even Commander Fravor talked about before he was back on the boat, the entire boat knew what was going on.
Yep.
Like, that's how it actually works, right? And I went, I completely believe that, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And here we go again with this. So there's this, all these, so I'm sort of getting copied in, not copied, but, screenshotted in on some of this stuff because I've been in the military. People asking me, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I'm thinking that makes perfect sense and that there's nothing you should be concerned about here. There's no orders here being given to run around and take everybody's guns and,
no.
and to shoot anybody on the street or anything. And there's countries now that have already been through this that are coming out the other side of it. So it would be ludicrous to believe, but I want to make a point about this because when we come out the other side of this now,
okay,
for all of those people that have been peddling the apocalyptic Bible verses and the apocalyptic conspiracy theories and all of these kinds of things, right?
Yep.
Is this going to finally convince you, right, that you're chasing ghosts, that they're all paper straw men and paper tigers, and that there's nothing to this stuff?
That's just not the way the human condition works.
Because I gave it up when I shouldn't say I gave it up. I always had suspicions, right? But you heard, I can remember all of the conspiracy theories during when the Obama administration was in power. And, I mean, they were crazy. I had friends and stuff that, and family members that were telling me how there was going to be these internment camps.
Yep. Tanks in the street.
And tanks in the street.
Yep.
And this is all going to be Obama doing all this. And they're going to come and confiscate all your weapons. And they're going to get rid of all religion. And all of this kind of stuff was going to happen, right? And when Obama left office, and none of that shit happened. My reaction to that was, so all of this is just bullshit. And so it's all I just disregard it all now because they've never been right about a fucking prediction yet, right? But I ask this question about when are people finally going to get it? This is just a rumor mill that feeds itself.
Yeah.
When does that what kind of event does it take to finally break that sort of weird cult I
don't know, man. It's hard to do. It's probably personal for each individual person, and some people will be immune to that this time around still.
I think it's a desire to belong to something, right? That's big.
To a desire to understand how the world really works. You want to uncover the mysteries of the world,
right?
But you really don't want to do the hard fucking science and reading and understanding of things,
right?
So you settle for what sounds good.
It's not like conspiracy
or what sounds
theories.
Plausible.
And I shouldn't. I mean, the whole fucking concept of conspiracy theory is wrong. Okay, for me, there's what you would call, I guess. What do you call it? Like a comic book sort of tale? There's fantastic stories, and wild sort of speculative things.
Sure.
And then there's Jeffrey Epstein, who hung himself.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But what we say is we take one big broad brush and we say that's all conspiracy theory. No, what happened to him
was not conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy theory. That's a cover-up.
Yeah.
And stop calling it a conspiracy theory. It's a straight cover-up.
And it's obvious.
Okay?
Unlike a conspiracy theory, it's really obvious it's a cover-up.
And then shit like Bigfoot shouldn't be in the same category as that. No. And one sort of cheapens the other.
Yeah, and Bigfoot isn't even a conspiracy theory. It's not like there's a group of people, keeping that alive and going, right? It's not like there's a conspiracy to not let it out. That's just like cryptozoology, and people don't know, and people wanting something to be there, and maybe there is, maybe there's not. But the conspiracy theories are things like when they say that the virus is engineered by the government, or it's like, and they're not telling you,
right?
Like they're doing this behind your back, and you can't do nothing about it.
I actually got that phone call.
Okay,
I had this conversation with a person, and I asked them, and I'll ask you the same question. I ask all of you the same question. What if it is? What would we be doing different?
I would say we wouldn't be doing anything
different. So why does that even matter right now when it comes to the information that people need to be concerned and worried about?
Sure. No, because there's
going to be a World Health Organization post-mortem and all that kind of shit that's going to be done on all this.
There is there is bio level 4 hazard labs that the government owns where they do work on weaponizing shit like smallpox.
Yes,
okay?
All over the world there are. Yeah,
those things exist, and it could be that one of those things got loose. However, to believe that kind of a thing, you have to ignore the long history of the coronavirus in general.
And the shit that experts and researchers and scientists have been warning us about for fucking decades.
Right.
But it's not that, Eric.
Right. So you have to ignore the easy answer, or the obvious
answer. The difficult answer.
Yeah, and realize that you've turned a blind eye toward all those scientists talking about how RNA viruses work and how they act differently outside of a host or inside of a host and things like that. You've missed all of that. You've probably missed stuff about CRISPR and things like that too.
Correct.
But all of a sudden there's something in that realm that's been talked about for a long time that's now affecting you directly.
Right.
And you've got to deal with it, and you've got to reconcile with it. And because you have no knowledge about it, you accept whatever sounds plausible. And what sounds plausible to you is the government did it. Somebody did it. It didn't just happen. God wouldn't just do that.
Well, there's that necessity to find the bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
The responsible party.
In anything that distresses a, I'm not going to make judgments. Okay. So there are people that when things distress them, they have to find a culprit or so something always has to be to blame.
Yeah.
But that thing is always external.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
To the point of religion.
And everybody knows who I'm talking about.
Government, it's the Chinese. If it's not the Chinese, then it's. But
it's going to be some sort of external force.
Yeah.
Now, it can't be just nature that has a documented history on this planet of fucking killing us over and over again.
I've seen people surprised that they've went and dug out old cans of Lysol, right? When all this starts going on, they dig out their cans of Lysol they've had for like a year, right?
Right.
And right on the back, it's under what it lists for what it's good for killing. Coronavirus
is listed on there.
Yeah, it's not like,
well, how did that get there?
Right, yeah. Gives them peace of mind, but they really don't even sometimes think about what the implications of that mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are a type of viruses that exist for a long time, and they can mutate outside of the body, and when they do, they potentially can be bad for people, and this is one of those instances where that has happened.
Yeah.
It's got the things that make it bad is that it's got a 14 eclipse phase day, right?
Or more. Well, that's
at least
they think. Yeah. Like this is
where you don't have symptoms, but can give it to people, right?
Can spread it. Yeah.
Right. Which makes it really easy to catch. And it lives for like 2 hours on surfaces. It's the outside protein shell has spikes, so it sticks to like flesh really well.
Oh, great.
It's an RNA virus, so when it's inside of you, it folds those to make proteins copies of itself. And it's once it's inside of you, it tends not to mutate because it's busy replicating. And the throat and the mucus of your throat and your nose,
right?
It's 1,000 times more prevalent than the normal coronavirus flu. So when you sneeze, there's 1,000 times more particles in it.
That's you're spreading.
Yeah. So that's another reason why it's that way. And
I made the joke the other day. My post-nasal drip has become like a superpower because all I got to do is go and people like start
give you some space.
Yeah, because I have constant postnasal drip, so I'm like susceptible to it. But
it attacks your
for whatever reason, I don't tend to get sick very often. But this is new. I have no clue. You know,
this shit attacks your Ebola sacs in your lungs, which is where your capillaries attach to your lungs. So that's the border between the air that you
the
take
oxygen in your
the,
bloodstream.
Exactly. Yeah. So it attacks those, and that's why you have that shortness of breath. And if you've damaged your lungs with cigarettes or some sort of issue or something, you have less of those to begin with because they're hardened. The good news is if you quit smoking, though, they've definitively decided that you will regrow your lungs. Essentially, it might take 7 years.
Totally right.
Yeah, but you will get them back.
I think I've heard that people's like oxygen levels and stuff will increase within days, like 3 to 4 days. So yeah, I mean, if you're a smoker and you're considering quitting, this would be a really good excuse, especially if you're like shut in and you don't have those influences now of going to the bar and all those external influences where you can break these habits. Now would be a really good time to do it.
And normally somebody gets the flu. Not everybody has it because it's not transmitted as easily, right? And so maybe you have the flu for 7 days, and 2 of those days you might have died, but because you could go into the emergency room because you were having problems breathing, they put you on a ventilator. You get past those 2 days, they take you off, you're out, you're
That's
recovered,
right, yeah. Or they send you home. I mean, they can even send you home with some of this stuff like oxygen and things like that, depending on your severity.
But if everybody's there, there's no ventilators, there's no rooms.
Right, the equipment's gone.
Yeah, and so many people piling into one spot eventually gets the doctor sick.
That's right.
I believe like the chief medical officer of Italy died from this.
So tell me this. I mean, now in retrospect, and I'm being facetious.
Okay.
Do you think that the world governments and the world powers have spent their money on what is going to actually could possibly harm us the most, the best? Or should I say this differently? Is it time to change how, or to really reconsider what's dangerous and what isn't, and where we focus how much money? And I'm saying that because I've heard that the military budget is like, I don't know, 100 or 1,000 times the budget of like the infectious disease type stuff.
I can
and
say,
I don't remember the last time. And maybe it's because we have a gigantic fucking military. I don't know.
Right.
But when was the last time another country came in and wiped our economy out in less than 2 weeks?
Yeah. Right. No hacking attempt has done that yet.
No hacking attempt. No invasion has done that since World War, like, what, II or something? I don't know.
Not even then.
And not even then.
Because we geared up.
Yeah, it was like, fuck it. We're going to go kick some bitches in the face. Yeah. Industry shot through the roof. Right. I'm just saying, like, is it time to do you feel, what do you think about that? Do you think it might be time to reconsider our priorities here
a little bit? Yeah. I mean, in fact, as far as I know, the only governmental agency that has any experience in things like this is the military. They tend to think in the big picture in large damaging situations.
Well, the National Guard is definitely being utilized and is part of the solution.
Yeah.
And the Army Corps of Engineers are definitely going to be utilized and be a part of the solution.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that military budget's completely misplaced as long as we can utilize it in the capacity that we need it for in this.
100%. 100%. 400 and some $billion fighter jets that can't
we don't
shoot.
Need those. We don't need that.
I mean, why do we need airplanes you're sticking people in anymore?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is that? Why are we still doing that?
Probably some company had some contracts and they weren't ran out yet.
I mean, I don't mean to throw all pilots and I guess this is sort of part of the plot line of the new Top Gun movie, right? But
is it?
Yeah, it's like
pilots are obsolete.
Pilots being obsoleted.
Now I don't need to see the movie.
In a lot of ways, I think they are, but I think Tom Cruise was quoted as saying it was a love letter to aviation. Because aviation's changing.
Yeah,
just is. It isn't going to be the big swooping days. It's going to be push a button.
Wow. It wasn't that long ago, like 10 years or maybe, that the last person who was born before flight was still alive.
Right.
So almost in one generation they went from the Wright brothers to the moon, and now it's becoming a bit passé.
Yeah. Although it's funny because the Wright brothers and the moon are two different utilization of two different forms of physics.
Totally agree.
But because they put shit in the air, they're put in the same category.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I put them in the same category.
One's just a continuous bomb that you ride on top of, and the other uses the Bernoulli effect.
You detach yourself from and float from that point.
I wonder why it's called the Bernoulli effect instead of the Wright effect.
I don't know.
Anyway, I got
probably some Italian
completely off topic here.
Scientist that came up with the formula or something.
Bernoulli, yeah,
probably
curved surface. So Kenny from Thought Dump sent me a message here and said, "Hey, did you know you're rated? What did he say? You're rated. You got a 4-star rating on iTunes." So I went and looked, and on my meter it says 5. But there was there was a particular post, a disparaging post about one of our past podcasts that didn't like you.
Didn't like me. Oh.
But they gave us a 4-star rating.
Yeah, well,
I don't even know what the fuck's going on. I said, yeah, whatever. But anyway, it looks
I know what podcast that was.
Yes, you do. But I just know I never looked until he mentioned it, and it was like, oh yeah, we got a 5-star rating on iTunes. So I don't know who's reviewed us, but apparently people like it. That was kind of cool.
They don't like me, but that's all right. I like
one person, but he still gave us a 4-star rating,
and I still like him.
So that's out there. Go check that out. It's
probably
cool.
the same guy that I replied to on the Podbean.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, possibly. Could be.
Like that reply.
Could be. Well, let's not go down that road.
Oh.
I just thought it was funny that we have a 5-star rating.
Look, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Let's do it.
Yeah, what the fuck else you people got to do? Look, I'm in sweats. Look at this shit, man. I'm like lounging now.
Yeah, we went completely off of the show format. No, we didn't do the question. We haven't done articles.
Yeah, we haven't done articles yet.
Just talked about living with viruses.
Living with a pandemic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people were sitting at home. We might as well do something fun for someone to watch, right? I hope. Well, I hope this is fun. I hope you find this fun.
Yeah.
I've been told we're funny.
I invoke Oh, never mind.
Now it's your turn.
Leviticus. I invoke Leviticus.
What are you invoking
and I'm being
from
told
Leviticus?
that I'm funny.
I'm being told that I'm funny?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, like I was talking about William Shatner.
The Shat,
man. I was talking about him. I had things to say. And my boss is like, man, you talk about William Shatner all the time. You guys butt buddies or something? I'm like, no, man. We're just friends. Not like we're doing anything against Leviticus. And they thought that was hilarious. I'm like, no, seriously, we're not. Like,
right?
There are a lot of laws in there, and we ain't breaking any of them.
None of them Leviticus laws.
No, we're totally
I don't think
kosher.
you could get the Shat to do that, though.
He's Jewish.
But beyond that, he's too manly to be pulling that
exactly.
stuff. Like too.
That's right.
Of course, I say that, and then there was the Rock Hudson.
Yeah,
he's very manly.
but the Shat's
you don't know.
We were talking on the Facebook page about him having his own channel, and I was like, yeah, man, because you could do like dramedy,
what?
I'm having a stroke.
You
Drama, comedy.
Got the corona? What do you?
It's worse, right? Just having a stroke.
Dramedy and comedy.
Yeah, dramedy, comedy.
Cover all the
comedy,
bases.
drama, however you want to say it.
Is he going to? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying you could do that, like stand up and
for sure,
commercials even.
He's unintentional, though. I think he's embracing it, but I think for a period of time, he didn't realize that part of his entertainment value was that he was so unintentionally hilarious.
I've heard that's a situation that you can fall into.
It is. I know someone personally that falls into that situation. So I got a show question. We're 40 minutes in. I got a show question.
Are you guys ready for a show question?
So, Mr. Smith, what's the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
Well, it was just last night, and I can't talk about it. But let me go for the second piece.
You could give me the worst piece of advice you've ever been given, too, if you wanted. But I guess, yeah. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
It's okay. There's been people that's got married a fourth time.
Wow, that's harsh.
I'm just saying. It's the last bad advice I remember.
That was your worst advice that you've ever been given? Yeah. Sure. Fourth time's the charm. Yeah. It's only third time unlucky.
I know fourth time is like for your green card or something. Like I don't know what you're gonna do, but
Right? There should be blood involved or something.
I should get like citizenship to wherever
like a kidney,
I went to.
a piece of liver or something should be involved.
Should marry a Greek woman and go and be Greek. Could be Orthodox Greek, Jewish, Greek.
I guess right now I would say that the what would be the worst piece or best piece of advice I've ever been given? I don't know. Life's just a ride. Bill Hicks.
That's the best.
I think it's the best thing I ever heard. It was one of them moments where I went, "Fucker's right." You know, have you ever heard that whole famous Bill Hicks bit about life being like a roller coaster? It's a ride.
No.
And sometimes it goes up and down, but it's just
sometimes you're screaming,
and it's just a ride. And sometimes it's longer for some people, and sometimes it's shorter for others, and but that's all it is, and you can't expect it to be anything more than that, you know. And I went, fuck, it's such a brutal, pragmatic for me approach to looking at everything, because no matter how bad shit gets, it's still just part of the same continuum, right? It's just part of the same ride. So for me, that was like a big eye opener.
What's the worst?
The worst advice I ever got was probably invest heavily in the stock market. Because, I'll bet that fucking hurts right now. Yikes. If you have an IRA, do not look at it. I'm not even opening that fucker up. Nope. I'm not.
He'll owe.
Oh, God. Yeah. So that'd be my best and worst.
I don't know what my worst or my best is. The best advice I've ever given is don't pee on an electric fence.
That's the most practical advice I think you've probably ever given. Like top of the list in both reason you shouldn't do it and effect on how much it saves the person you're giving that advice to.
Yeah. And
I was just talking to one of the guys I game with, and I was like, he was talking about some of the parts of the shows and different shows he's listened to, and I was like, you got to go back and listen to the pissing on the electric fence, and he was like, oh wait, I already listened to that. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean that's just no. I don't know. I don't know what good advice I've ever been given. Really,
no.
Good advice for a job that I liked once. That psychic job. Somebody's cued me on to that.
That was man. Just the stories alone that you've been able to garner out of that is.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's funny when you go through shit when you're younger. And you're thinking, you know, why is all, you know, but once you find the humor in it, it starts to turn into like an asset when you can tell people about all the fucked up shit.
Oh my God. There was this guy there and he went by the name Vision, and he had like.
Was he?
No, he was an empath, right? Like a clairvoyant empath. So he didn't use any tools of divination or anything, right? He just took phone calls and he would see stuff in his head or whatever. And he was this really skinny kid, and he had half of his head shaved and had that kind of haircut that you just flip over right down here.
Yeah, I dig it.
And,
very like 80s, late
yeah,
80s.
Like a punk 80s. He always had a leather jacket on.
Okay.
And he had a salamander tattooed on the side of his head with a like a gun sight. I don't know why. And I remember, man, one day when we were over on Marconi Boulevard, there was this sign. It was a parking sign, and a few days earlier somebody backed into it and they bent it.
Okay.
Right, like this. But it was still pretty much there. And he decided that he was going to go out there and fix it. And me and my buddy Jim that worked there, we're like, okay, yeah, you know, so we all go out on this, like it was up top our building. It was like up on the 4th story.
Okay.
And you went around back and you just went up these stairs, and there was a platform, like a landing, and then you went inside, right? So we're hanging out in this platform, and he goes down like the 3 stories, goes into the parking lot, and the sign's like this, and he backs up a little bit more, and there's train tracks way far back, so he backs up a little bit more, right? And he just full speed hits the sign, and it's just doom, and it throws him down like this, and you could see like dust come out from him over.
Like it slammed him on the ground, right?
Yeah, like he hit it just hard enough that it moved and pushed back, and it just slammed him, man. And it was so funny.
For every action,
yeah,
there's an equal and opposite reaction.
And then me and Jim went back inside and started hacky sacking ketchup packages. He didn't show back up for at least 20 minutes. Like, he eventually came back in.
And probably knocked the fucking wind out of him.
Probably. He's so skinny. I don't even know why he thought he could manhandle that steel sign that was in pavement.
Oh, my God.
That was the second funniest thing I think I ever seen. Somebody got hurt.
Other than peeing on an electric fence?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like the audacity of, you know what? I'm going to go down there and fix that sign. And it's like, it's not like you're a genius or anything. You're just going to go run at it.
Yeah.
It's not like you had an idea. It's not like you're an engineer. It's not like you would do, you'd come up with some construction to fix it, right? He just hit it. And he's a skinny guy. And it took him out.
My buddy and his brothers used to do sadistic shit, like take the spark plug wire off the riding mower, pull the plug wire off, and then run a wire from it to the doorknob of the shed, and then holler for one of their brothers and watch out the window with the key. And as soon as they grab the doorknob, they'd hit the key. Just the magneto right through the doorknob, bam, 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 bam. So that's kind of people I grew up with. So when it comes to seeing funny shit,
had a lot of history of that.
Yeah,
huh?
unfortunately.
A lot of stitches.
And then being the youngest boy, stitches and stuff. Although my oldest brother has the record for most stitches I've ever seen a human being get in his life. Like
Shane?
No, my oldest brother Dale.
Oh?
The Dark Knight, the one that the black sheep of the family, right? He there was like a period of I think it was only 2 summers. He went through a plate glass window in the front door of the house. He went through the skylight on top of a trailer that cut him like from his ankle all the way up to his crotch. I mean, like, took a machete to the back of his hand. Like, he's just covered in scars.
Damn.
And he recovered from all of it, but he's just, I can't remember how many he got. It was hundreds.
Jeez.
Hundreds of stitches, like in one summer, or like 1 or 2 summers or something like that.
Man.
Yeah, it was my dad that took him through the front door. He ran up and punched my dad in the face. Welcome to my family. And took off running, laughing, and my dad took a pillow and whipped it at him. And it, sort of caught him in mid-stride right when he was going past the front door of the house. Well, it had like this big plate glass, like stained glass, if I remember right, it was little. When it was like that kind of thing in it. And when the pillow hit him, he was at full speed. So it just diverted him, and he went right out the front door through that window. With the pillow just diverted him right out the front door, and then off to the hospital they went.
Man,
yeah. What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I lucked out with my kid. He's pretty
laid back. Yeah. Well, my client's crazy, Bo. Bro, it's never boring, man. I used to tell people that alcohol, the federal agency, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. For my family, that was a good weekend. Like, that was the ingredients of a fun weekend. You had to have all of those things. All right, you want to do some articles, or what do you want to do?
Oh.
I know, it's pretty late already. We've almost done an hour. We've just been hanging out.
We've got we get the...
I mean, if we're going to do articles, we're not going to be able to do very many
You're
anyway.
right.
Yeah.
We should just hang out, man.
Yeah. Continue talking about the coronavirus.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know what else there's
to say about that. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We'll keep you updated as far as we know it.
The next 2 to 4 weeks should be pretty telling.
Are we going to try to do fit more podcasts in per week if we're going to end up kind of locked in place?
That depends on the government.
Well, yeah, and how much they let us get together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as people don't have temperatures and feel that they've been pretty socially distancing themselves,
right.
It's okay with me. I don't have any particular fear of getting it. I don't want to spread it to anyone, but I'm not in fear of having the virus myself.
And having it be deadly to you.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. I don't want any flu at all. If I can arrange it to be so, and I am taking precautions.
For sure, yeah.
But I'm not it's not like I don't see it as a death sentence or anything.
No, luckily it hasn't been terribly lethal in a percentage. I mean, I feel terrible for the people that have gotten and have died from it. I don't mean that, but I'm saying in a proportionate sense.
Yeah.
When one of these it's highly contagious, and one of these days, one of these highly contagious motherfuckers is also going to be highly lethal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when
but if it's too highly lethal, it'll be like Ebola, which is we can easily transmit it, but it's so lethal that it will sometimes burn out entire villages where everyone will
before it can really spread.
Yeah, because it kills the host too quickly.
So fast. Oh, God, this is apocalyptic shit, huh?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I mean, like, there are already viruses and things that can be that bad, but if you tip the scale, because there's virility and there's lethality, right?
Yeah.
There's how quick it spreads and how easily it spreads versus how quickly it kills. And if it kills too quickly, then
it doesn't
have
a
spread.
Yeah, it's transmute, or it's pass on ability. What do you call that? Its ability to be passed on.
Yeah.
It's very limited because it kills you so quick.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What we don't want is the one that waits 30 days, highly transmittable, and then kills you.
Yeah. Or the one that lies dormant in your system and causes problems for the rest of your life in a chronic sense.
In a chronic sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That because then everybody's health just goes to shit, and normal stuff will take you out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll have bad health to begin with,
like an immune deficiency type thing, like HIV is, and stuff.
Yeah.
God, this is all very morbid stuff, man.
Oh.
So what do you think? I mean, this is my first pandemic. Overall, I think everybody's kind of taking it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I do know people who are really scared of catching
me too.
it and consider it to be a death sentence. I know people who are worried about it, and they're not necessarily even old people. And it's bad for people who've got diabetes too, for whatever reasons. That's another strike against you if you have that. So I know people that are worried and scared about it. I mean, I don't know how other people deal with that. I mean, my roommate, once he found out what was going on and it became real to him, he fell off the wagon. He had been
sober.
And he went out and he's been trashed ever since, and I think he's been bleeding ever since. Like he's bleeding from his head and stuff.
Oh, from falling down over, and stuff like that. Wow,
like completely trashed and stuff. So he's taking it hard. I know some other people that are. I mean, for me personally, I have a hard time feeling that inside of me in any given situation.
Right.
Sometimes I want to feel it, but I don't, and so I guess I don't think about it. I don't know.
In that way,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, but I'm not scared or anything, and I'm not worried about getting it, and I'm not. I don't know. I've been enjoying most days.
But you're not cavalier about it either. You're still using you're still washing your hands. You're still taking all of the precautions. You're social distancing.
Yeah, because soap has lipids in it that destroys the outer protein cell and stuff. And then the RNA unravels and stuff. And I'm still counting on my Neolithic
So
DNA.
It's not like you're like, I don't give a fuck. You're out there just coughing on everybody. You're saying that you're not losing any sleep over it.
No, not at all.
I understand. Yeah, I think that do you think that there's been a gross overreaction to it then?
I don't think you could really overreact. I think
right.
I mean, I think you should take it seriously, right? I think you can underreact. And even if it turns out not to be that bad. I think
buying all the fucking toilet paper was a little bit of an overreaction.
Maybe. I mean, I understand that people want to protect themselves, but I mean, at the very least, this is a dry run for a worse situation.
We certainly have found some inefficiencies and defined them with something that's... Thank God we're finding it on something that... Because it could have been figuring this out on something that was far worse or far more lethal, too.
And this could be how life will work in the future with the situation that you were talking about with all the bacteria and viruses that's come back from the permafrost thawing from global warming and things like that. And then things like the Yara virus, which we discussed on one of the shows, which is an artificial, totally new genome virus like this COVID-19 is, right? So these things are going to happen, and of course we can genetically engineer things with CRISPR even better now than we were earlier when we were doing it, weaponizing things, right?
Correct, yeah.
This could be the new way we live life, because there's always going to have something that comes up, and then it's going to be 2 years before you get a safe vaccine, right? if you go through all the steps.
That kind of goes back to my earlier question too. Is like this is. Do you think this is going to sort of trigger a realignment of priorities?
Yeah, I mean, I hope
necessarily
it does, because it's probably a good thing that it does, right?
Right.
I think it would be best if it did. I think that if you're going to go into a global society, you have to be aware of these kind of things and keep your distance and have good hygiene and be aware that when you're sick, you can spread something, and that some things outside of the body can mutate and become worse.
Right.
So you got to take care of not just yourself, but the other people around you, because it is a truly global society.
Right.
And we have so much technology like this
that
we can communicate with people and don't have to be out.
Yeah, this kind of idea, I think that your air quotes rights are sort of yours in this weird vacuum that people imagine themselves to be in.
Yeah, and it maybe used to be like that back in the day.
And where there was a time when you could move to Wyoming or you could really move and spread out.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I'm open to the topic of reconsideration.
Well, those times
of how people. I think it's time.
Yeah.
That we also take into effect that. Yes, we have individual rights, but as soon as those start to infringe on the rights of others, there's going to have to be a consideration there.
Well, in some cases,
different consideration.
We don't have rights in some cases, in the sense that it's not the overpopulation of the world that makes us a global society. It's the ability to get from place to place.
For sure.
For somebody to come out and visit you if you live way out in the middle of nowhere, right? And maybe they just pop in on you and they have a virus, right? Like before, when you were out that far, nobody could also get out that far, right? But now somebody could pop in no matter where.
But even, I mean, when was the Spanish flu? Was that like 1918 or something?
No, it was earlier than that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so my point is that there wasn't like motor cars and there wasn't airplanes and stuff.
And it was still bad.
And it was still bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
The plague was bad. I don't. Yeah. Like.
Well, I mean, and think how quickly this has went all over the world.
Right.
Man. I mean, unprecedented. It was just weeks ago that we were first hearing about it on the other side of the planet.
Right.
Now it's in both hemispheres.
And it's going to tear through. Right. Yeah. So, oh my God.
And it may not go away.
And it may not go away. Right.
Because part of the thing with flu season and viruses and coronaviruses.
And next year could be COVID-20.
Well, yeah, that's right. But they migrate, right? They go to the southern hemisphere, and when we have our summer, and that's how we can know what the next flu season is going to be and make vaccines for it, right?
Or try to, right? Yeah.
Right. But this is already in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee it's going to ever leave and not be seasonal. Even in the summer, this could still be the same situation.
Oh, I think this should be accepted as some sort of new. This is a new norm. This is something that's going to happen again, and it's going if it follows the trend of all the other kind of these types of phenomena. But you know what I mean? Like these types of catastrophes are happening more and more often, bigger and bigger, and in more rapid succession. So to think that trend is going to change would be, it'd be foolish, don't you think?
Yeah, and you got to be careful too, because while you're fighting off viruses with hand sanitizer, you're also strengthening bacteria. Like MRSA, which is already resistant toward these things. And stuff.
Bubba.
So
I know it's like. Nature's kind of got us in their
nature has a way of
right
thinning
now.
out the herd, and that's what this essentially is.
Nature will decide that it needs a little more chlorine in the gene pool.
Yep.
It's done it before, man.
And once we bottleneck so much, then we won't be able to spread it because there'll be too few people, and it won't be an issue anymore.
And then everything. Have you seen the pictures of? If you haven't, I mean, I highly suggest that you Google this, right? But the pictures of Italy, with the gondolas and all that. Not Florence, right? What's the name of the city?
Venice.
Venice.
Yeah.
Go look up at there's people taking pictures of the Venice waterways.
Yeah.
They're crystal clear now.
Yeah. In fact, last I read, they said dolphins came back to them. That they were dolphins were swimming in them. Yeah. Dolphins were.
You got some images there you can pop up
right there. Dolphins appear in Italian waterways.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, there you go. That is nuts, man.
Look, nature's like, yeah, this is ours.
That is so cool, though, that's
Sorry,
happening.
Humans. So long, and thanks for all the fish, guys.
Yeah, right? So the waters are clearing up because the boats and stuff aren't in there churning things up constantly.
Yeah,
and
people aren't dropping shit and spitting in it and whatever else they're doing.
Yeah. Isn't this crazy? But go find some images, Devil, and that's, that could be a dolphin anywhere, right? Go find some of the images people were taking that shows like the Venice waterways and stuff now. I've seen some of them.
Well, there's a good idea what it used to look like, all yellow and green.
No, you got to, that's just, go up and say Venice waterways, clear water or something. That's the...
Clear coronavirus waters.
Yeah, look at that. Like some of those images right there, down below that one.
That one?
To the right of it, too. One more. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Why do they keep...
Clears after lockdown. And there's dolphins.
It's amazing. Like you can see the bottom of the waterways and stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Probably on the bottom right are more pictures.
More pictures, Devil.
On the
Pick up
bottom
some
right.
More there.
Go down. Yeah. That's probably connected pictures I made.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one I saw. I thought it's crazy. And then I saw another one. I think it's just down below that where the water is. There's like no wind or anything. So it just looks like a poured glass surface.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
Yeah.
So the meme I seen about it was like it had like these pictures of these gorgeous waterways and stuff now, and then below it was the guy from the Matrix saying, humanity's a virus upon the planet.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
Well,
right?
They're not wrong.
And it didn't take long for like dolphins to come back and be like, "What the fuck happened there?"
And I've seen other things too, like where they show like the levels of CO2 over China, like all the pollution in China's like disappeared.
And northern Italy, I hear,
as well.
Yeah.
I wonder when how long, because I just heard they...
Gee, I wonder why the world's doing this to us. I don't know.
Do you think the world has an ulterior motive here, Mr. Smith?
The Gaia effect, I'm feeling strongly.
Is that right? Yeah. And you don't get into the woo shit, but you're starting to be like, listen, bitches.
Yeah, that shit's going to come to an end right there.
Well, one way or the other.
Yeah, right there. That's coming to an end.
As I wrap this up here, I remember George Carlin, one of my favorite comedians of all time, saying that us saying, people saying that we're hurting the planet. He's like, you're hurting the planet. We're hurting the planet. And he said, no, we're not hurting the planet. We're hurting ourselves.
Yes.
Because the planet will just shake us off like a bad case of the fleas.
Yep.
And it's done that. Oh, I mean, we have the
genetic evidence,
archaeological record and the genetics that says that this
went down to pretty low populations.
40.
In the past.
What was it? 40 breeding couples. I think I heard
like
Neil Tyson say it was either 20 or 40 breeding pairs. So it was either 80 people or 40 people. I can't remember which.
Good news, I have this board game called the Farming Game. It's the most depressing game.
I remember playing that when I was in VOAG when I was in high school. Yeah, on like rain days and weird shit. Yeah, we would play the farming game.
Yeah, you get like a bunch of cows, right? And you start getting money.
It's like Monopoly for farmers.
Yeah. But there's a card that you can draw that says that you have like a prion disease in your cows, which is also an incorrectly protein. But
mad cow disease.
Yeah,
right.
mad cow disease. Yeah. And then the government comes in and kills all your cows. And you have to start over.
Oopsie.
Yeah, I mean, like, at least that's not where we're at now. Like, just kill everyone. Kill everyone that's got it.
Man, that was like a badge of courage in VOAG if you could like be really good at that.
Yeah, that's a hard game. It's depressing.
It's not easy.
No, and like
it's depressing. Yeah,
yeah. You get a card
Welcome
like
to being a farmer.
Tractor repairs. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine why I went into engineering and electronics.
Right? Yeah.
Between that and baling hay, I was like, I'm not doing this. Milking the cows wasn't so bad, but
he's looking up the prion disease right there. Type of prion. And that's because it's a protein that's folded wrong, and it comes from feeding like animals to animals.
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. We found that out.
Which is why you can't just eat people in an apocalypse.
Right.
It'll make you crazy. Not that you're already crazy if you're eating people.
Yeah. See how complicated it is? There's already people that's like, yeah, man, I can just do some cannibalism. But no, you didn't do the research. You don't know about prions. You don't know about bad proteins. And now you're nuts.
Oh, this is just all made up bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just a plot to keep the working man down. All right, can we wrap up there before I say something that gets me really in trouble?
Yeah.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. It's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us a share. We greatly appreciate it. Keep the comments coming, and we will catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bicycles. Woo-hoo.